My favorite quote is by Benjamin Franklin, and it is, "You cannot solve a problem by using the same level of thinking when that problem was created."
There you go.
That's good shit.
That's good. Hello, welcome to the NightFire Podcast. Today we have a special guest. He has two first names, Mr. Nicholas Nick. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Do you have people comment on your two first names?
Oh yeah. You know, my whole life, the best question I ever got about it was I was getting a coffee at Starbucks, and this girl says, "What's it like having the same name twice?" And I said, "That's a great question." I said, "You learn a lot about reputation because no one ever forgets who the hell you are," right? So it's like no one's like, "Who was that guy again?" Like, they remember my name, they remember my face, and I got a pretty crazy personality, so I can be unforgettable in good ways and bad ways.
There you go. Some positives. I have a very popular name, so I have to deal with Daniel. So it's kind
right.
It's kind of its own thing. What part of the country are you from?
I'm in Florida. I'm in St. Petersburg down here, right next to Tampa.
Okay. I just went to Tampa a couple months ago, and I'm going again, hopefully in April. But
cool. Let me know.
Yeah, I like Tampa. Tampa is an interesting city.
Yeah.
I don't travel very much these days, but we're gonna switch that.
Yeah.
So you prior to this, you said you used to run events. Was that like what'd you do before doing technology and all the stuff you currently do now? Like what was your happenstance and journey into what you currently do now?
Yeah, so I was a restaurant manager for like ever, right?
Really?
So yeah, I was like a cook, right? 18, 17 years old, I'm a cook at a restaurant. I was a really good cook. I get promoted to manager. I was a really good manager, so I got promoted to like front of house, right? Where everyone's not greasy and dirty all day long. So then I was up front, and then from there I got promoted to like upper management, and I became like an area director, and I traveled from restaurant to restaurant. I was like a really good at running restaurants, and that's actually kind of how I ended up here, because I was looking around and I'm like, I don't want to be any of these people. Like, my boss was an asshole, his boss was an asshole, and I was like, they weren't assholes to me. They were just grumpy people because they're working 80 hours a week, you know? And I call it running out of role models. You know, I was working and I was like, I'll warn everyone right now, if you do not want to be your boss, quit. Okay, that's how that works. Like, you should be inspired by them. You should want to make as much money as, if you don't want to make as much money as your boss, if he's still not making enough, then you're doing the wrong thing. And that was kind of one of my big lessons to get the hell out.
It's so crazy how it happens because it happened similar to me too, where I was talking to one of my peers and he's like, "Oh, I work days Monday to Friday, and I make over $100,000 a year. Like, how long did it take you to get there? Oh, I've been here 12 years." And I'm like,
yeah, right. That's a long time.
12 like years? Like,
Yeah.
YEARS?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you it happens for everybody in different state. Like, whenever you hit that different stage of adulthood, that you kind of realize, like, is this really worth my effort? Am I putting my time in the right thing? That this is where I want to be, and you're finding your role models. I think it's such a great happenstance, and it happens for different people at different stages of their life. And the sooner you have that, and if you haven't had it yet, maybe you will soon. But
Yeah.
it happens for everybody in their own timing.
Well, rock bottom is so relative, right? And it's like, for me, it was 70 hours a week. I was maxed out at 65K a year, so I'm making 65,000 a year, working 70 hours a week, giving up everything, my family, my life, I was married at the time, I get no time with her. I'm getting weird times off. I'm getting home at 2 a.m. I'm getting up at 10 a.m. It's like, it was crazy. And then what finally did it for me was they transferred me to a new restaurant. and I was scheduled 90 hours a week for 6 weeks. And yeah, like disrespectful. Like what the hell? And and I'm salary, so it's not like I'm like, oh baby, oh gonna make a lot of money. I make the same money. I was 6 days a week, 15 hours a day. That's 90 hours a week. And I'd been with this company for 4.5 years, and I was one of their best. And I walk in, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm the only one scheduled 90. Everyone else was scheduled 75. Still a lot of hours. That's still a shitload of hours. And I was like,
why? It's because you're good at what you did.
Right.
You're good at what you do. The good employees, they know they don't have them for long, so they try and juice them as much as they can.
And that's what I learned. So when you're great at your job, they surround you with shit. Is what it is. Like, that guy that sucks, well, give him the Nick. Nick will carry his ass over the finish line.
He'll fix it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Nick will either make him better or he'll run circles around him. Either way, send him to Nick. And it's like, and before you know it, I'm surrounded by all these rejects, for lack of a better term, because I'm such a badass. So can we just fire these people and get more Nicks, please? And that's basically when I had that exact epiphany. That yes, I'm glad I learned all these skills. I'll tell you what, 13 years of running restaurants. At first, I hated myself when I quit because it took me so long to quit.
Yeah. Right?
And then after I created this business, we've been open for 8 years now. Like every problem in this business, I already solved in restaurants. So after I realized, I was like, oh shit, like that was my training ground, right? That's what made me as good as I am today. And it ended up being an absolute huge benefit for me.
That's how you got to see these transitions and these experiences in life that you face. They're building blocks to your future. It doesn't matter what job you had. It's a building block to your future of how to do things and how to deal with different problems and situations and people. Yeah, the building blocks of business. I think you learn a lot. And if business was easy, everybody would do it. And then the one thing that you deal with in every business, even as an employee, is people. And if people weren't in business, it'd be easy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And you know what? And I think another important lesson is it's important to learn some of these lessons on other people's dime, right? Yes. It's like, I learned how to be a great manager, and I had to be a pretty shitty manager along the way in order to learn how to be great, right? So it's like now by the time it's my life on the line, I am like a seasoned warrior. I'm ready for all the challenges. But, if this is my first bout in leadership, I would not be successful. I would not be in business all these years, right? And so it's like I think I'm a real big proponent of the 9 to 5. A lot of entrepreneurs they hate on the 9 to 5. Hey, get in there, learn it on their dime, get the hell out, right? That's really what the goal is. Learn it, get out, use that skill to make more money, learn that new shit, use that to make more money, and just keep leapfrogging your way up.
It's great advice. Great advice. I second that. It's you get to learn without the exposure or the risk.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you still get paid on Fridays.
Yeah, right. Hey, I'll tell you, having a dependable check, being an entrepreneur is scary. Okay. Having that consistent check feels pretty good sometimes,
Yeah, absolutely. So 8 years in the business, can you give somebody somebody's never heard of lead mining pros? The link will be in the bio below this, but we'll give people a 30-second snapshot of what it is and what you do for customers.
Yeah, so we're basically a white glove lead generation company. I call it white glove because if you go to my website, leadminingpros.com, you'll see a phone number at the top. You can call me. You tell me what your industry is. You tell me what market you're in, and I'll actually tell you what to buy. You don't have to guess what works. 8 years in business, I know what works in what cities for what strategies, right? So before you even buy, you get on the phone with me. I guide you on the best market and the best strategy. Then we get started. What we do is we pull lists, we skip trace them, we cold call them, and we text message all of them. And they're all done by humans. There's no AI. There's none of that stuff. It's all real human interaction that we provide. And then each week, I invite my clients to meet me for a one-on-one session. as well. So they get an email with all their statistics from the week, from the texting and the calls, and in that email is a link to book a call with me, and I actually monitor their results with them. So it's like a really high level touch. And the best part about it is, I'm sure everything sounds expensive. It's actually really inexpensive. My products start at $82 and they go up to like $1,500. So everything is no contracts, no commitments. It's a really easy to digest. Hey, I got $1,000. I need leads. Let's get this going. And then we get up and running for you.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know this, but what's your cost per lead on like texting and calling? And
It's super low. So with texting, I mean, of course, it varies depending on market, but with texting, we average a lead in every 100 to 200 text messages, and I charge $82 for 500 text messages. So if you think, let's say you get 5 leads on that, which would be amazing, that would be 80 divided, that would be under $18 a lead for that. Which is awesome. Now there's a downside to texting, right? I mean, a lot of leads, but they're ugly, right? I mean, I'm very transparent, I'm not going to lie to anyone, but there's still tons of deals. When you're getting 5 leads for $82, all it takes is 20 leads to equal a deal, so, you might spend $300-400 in texting, but, to make 30,000, what's really the difference? Then the other thing we have is cold calling. Cold calling, I tell people that it's going to take potentially, maybe $1,500 to close a deal with us. Now, our average client closes a deal in every 12 to 20 leads. So I would expect about $1,500 to $2,000 to yield about 20 leads. Now, it depends on your market. All right. So if you're in a saturated market, it's going to take more. Right. And then if you're in a suburban market, so cold calling with us and in a suburban market, that's no tourist attraction, no notoriety, no saturation, no cities, right? Then it's probably going to be much lower, probably $800 to $1,500 to get to those 20 leads, right? So anywhere from suburban markets, I'd say anywhere from $50 to $100 a lead. In saturated markets is going to be anywhere from, let's say, $100 to $200 a lead would be what I would expect.
Okay. I know there's a new regulation that passed in January about the one I think it's 1-to-1
1-to-1 consent rule. Yeah.
1-to-1 consent rule.
Yeah.
How are you guys managing and dealing with that?
So
And
good.
the other part of that question is, does the client face that, or do you face that? So you have to be compliant, or do they have compliance issues?
Well, the good news is we don't have an issue with the 1-to-1 consent rule. What that actually means is a lot of people out there, a lot of companies, we don't do this, but I'll explain it to everyone real quick. A lot of companies, if like, let's say I was a competitor of mine, okay, I could get a lead and sell that lead to 5 customers. Okay, that is now illegal unless you tell that seller that 5 different people are going to call them. Does that make sense? So 1-to-1 means if I send you the lead, it can only go to you because that's 1-to-1, right? But a lot of these other companies, they share leads, and they might get a lead in Tampa and they have 5 clients in Tampa and they send that same lead to all 5 people. So that's illegal. What we do when you hire us, everything is exclusively yours. So that we tell them, hey, Daniel's going to be calling you in the next. So that's the consent, if that makes sense. If I gave it to several people, I would say Daniel, Billy, Joseph, and Sally are going to be giving you a call at different times. Are you okay with that? Right. So I would have to let them know that. But it's not like Daniel will be reaching out within 24 hours. And he's probably going to want to come out and see the property is basically what we say. So because we're exclusive, we don't have to worry about the 1-to-1 consent.
Yeah, I'm always worried about compliance. It seems like compliance has been a big issue around town.
Well, what's happening is, I'll be honest with you, compliance isn't very enforced, but what companies are doing now is they're using compliance to scare investors, right? And I'm not saying they should or they shouldn't, right? I think knowledge is important, but what's happening is it's like the presidential elections, right? The two presidents start bashing each other rather than saying what they're going to be doing for the country, right? And what's happening is with a lot of this compliance is the companies are using it just to throw shade at each other rather than maybe actually dissect it. So, like for example, AI cold calling became illegal with the January 27th. So everything that's a robo dial, which means there's not a human behind the dial, is now illegal. Like for example, and it's because the government wants you to be fueling the economy, and you fuel the economy by putting a human behind the cold call. But yeah, so there's been some interesting regulations. It's really nothing to be too scared of at the moment. Um, but it is important to know the laws, know the rules, so you don't get scared. You don't just want to be fluking your way around it. And that's one of the perks of using us is our texting is compliant, our calling is compliant. And I also teach my clients on like how to protect themselves from liability. I wouldn't mind covering some things if you wanted me to.
Absolutely. How do you cover yourself from? I know with because I mess with PPCs, so you have to have the checkbox of that they're consenting.
That's
But
right.
let's talk about compliance and
Yeah, ways to stay protected.
staying.
Yeah, so a lot of it's really simple. Like we don't want to go out of our way to hurt ourselves. Okay, and anybody can file a lawsuit on you for anything, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's like we just want to be careful anyway. So the first thing I say is don't ever give your first and last name out.
Mm.
Okay, right? If they can type some information into Google and find you, you don't want that yet. You don't know this person. That'd be like going on a first date and giving them your address, which I'm sure sometimes sounds like a good idea, but as soon as that person goes crazy, you're gonna immediately regret that they know where you live. Okay. And that's in real life, and then that's in business life. Okay. So don't go out of your way. Don't go giving your full name on your first time you speak to them. Okay. The next part is don't go giving out your business name. Okay. Hey, what's the name of your business? Hey, we're just a little mom and pop shop in the area. Yeah, well, whose name is it? Well, it's in. We don't even have a name yet. It's like whatever you have to do, or give them a name that sounds like your name. Okay. We don't want to go out of our way. We don't know this person yet. Okay. As soon as someone knows your business name, they could type that into Google and find out your EIN address. Right. Just that easy. Another example is don't ever call them from a phone number that is linked to your business. Okay. And by that, I mean, if they take that phone number and they go to Google, it should not pop up your business phone number. If I type my phone number in Google right now, it's going to pop up leadminingpros.com with an address, right? And guess what? There it is again. So I'm just exposing myself to liability. And it's not that anything even happens from this, but some guy threatens it and they recite your address to you. That's stressful. That's stressful. And some of these people, they're really not even going to do anything. They're just pissed off and they want to piss you off, right? So when you give them some of this ammo, it just kind of backfires. So those are a couple tips I give people. Don't go out of your way. Don't give them your full name. Don't call them from a phone number that can be Googled and traced back to you. And don't tell them your full business name unless you really know that they're in this to win this.
So I'm gonna add to this just because I talked to a client recently, and he owns over 100 rentals, and he self manages.
Oh, wow.
One of the tenants reached out and got his home address, so
Yeah,
he's concerned about just like protection at that point. I mean,
that's right.
I'm sure you can Google landlord tenant murder, and you're gonna find something recent in some state and possibly Florida.
Yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
it's a real situation that you really need to protect yourself, like personally as well, from physical injury and harm. So one thing that I do is I have Wyoming LLCs because they have
Okay.
anonymity. And
Okay.
then if you're using use a PO box for mailing stuff for business addresses. And then if you really want to get funky, you can just start using trust if you're holding assets.
Yeah.
to really protect yourself from anonymity. But I agree with all your things with being texting and calling, but sometimes you have to get extra layers of protection to really protect yourself personally as well.
Yeah, and I think your point is such a fair point. It's let's not forget we have physical health we have to maintain, not just financial health, right? And again, I'm really trusting. I'm a very trusting person, and I'll tell you, the most trusting people have a lot of reasons why they shouldn't be trusting anymore, right?
Yep.
And it's because you do meet someone, you do give them your home address, they freak out or they show up or something. We've all have a crazy ex-girlfriend story that we wish that they didn't know where we lived, right? That's a fact, Jack. And so it's like, why even expose yourself? We need to respect that. We don't want to learn the lessons that teach us to respect it, because that lesson's going to be too painful, no matter what, whether it's physical, financial, or even just stressful.
Yeah. These are lessons you should avoid and take heed to them, because you don't want to realize and face that lesson. And you're like,
Yeah.
damn, Nicholas, the guy with 2 names, told me about this,
Yeah, you don't want to learn this lesson the hard way, right? You'd rather learn it right here on this podcast.
That's right. I like the hands off approach with lead generation. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of knowing how to run leads. I think the main thing is that a lot of people struggle with is like, how do I generate traffic? How do I generate leads? I'm not cold calling. I'm not texting. And a service like yours is what really harnesses that, because you do this for a living. Like
Right.
you said, you know the best markets, you know what to text, how to text, what words to text, and that's how it works. You got to.
Well, and it's I'm glad you said that, because I remember I had this client call me up once. He goes, Nick, man, I've been cold calling. I'm not getting any kind of results. And I was like, well, go ahead, walk me through it. What the hell are you doing? And he's like, well, I use this software. I said, well, that software sucks, so that's a thing. And I've been getting my list from over here. Well, I wouldn't. He's like, gets his list from Fiverr. I was like, well, I wouldn't be getting my list from Fiverr if I was you. And then he's like, well, here's the script I'm using. And I was like, well, that script sucks, right? And it's like, and actually that conversation really opened my eyes up to exactly what you're saying. This is all I do, right? Every day of my existence is about getting better at cold calling. What a lot of these people do with these in-house operations is they find a $3 an hour Filipino, they find a free script off the internet, they find the cheapest list they could find on Fiverr. Guys, do not get anything off of Fiverr for your real estate business. Please do not do that. That is crazy. Okay, it's like there's already list pulling softwares out there that have 1,000 positive reviews. Why would we go to Fiverr for someone to save us 3 cents? It's like it doesn't make sense, pun intended. But there's so many things that can be broken down that we can do wrong on the journey. Something simple like phone numbers being detected as spam, right? We buy 5 phone numbers for every client, and then we put it on the dialer and we cycle them out once they hit 100 dials a day, because that's the threshold. We do all that work at no cost. You don't pay for the numbers. You don't even know that we do that, because you don't need to know. Because it's like you just close the deal, work the lead and close the deal. That's all I want from my clients.
When I send you the lead to answer, make sure you call them within 24 hours, or you're not fulfilling my side of the obligation that I'm telling them John Smith is going to call you in 24 hours. Now it's your job to answer the phone.
Yeah, that's right. And I even recommend, if you're in a saturated market, you really should be calling within 30 minutes, if not within that first hour. And one other thing I offer that we haven't chatted about is I have 7 free courses online where I literally tell my clients exactly what to say to every lead. After 8 years in business, you don't have to figure it out. Like I coach a lot of my clients one-on-one. I think I talked about the one-on-one calls I offer. I've been meeting with my clients for 5 years, one-on-one. I already know what you're going to do wrong and what to do right. So I created the courses that are free, and they're on the website at the top. But I created those so you could take perfect action from the get-go, not make a mistake, then call me and then have me fix your mistake, which I still offer. But the goal is that we do it right the first time.
Yeah. That's it. Cut the learning curve. faster to success. You know what to say and how to say it, and you get to reap the benefits.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, like why learn the hard way? I think my courses, they're cool. I give scripts out and everything, so it's actually downloadable. It's not just me telling you. You can download it and then read it when you get on the phone with your seller too.
There you go. So 8 years in the business. Are you actively running the business yourself, or are you just on the lead generation side?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I own it, and I'm the founder. I have like 30 employees, so yeah, yeah. So I have like 30 employees. I have two different levels of leadership, and then I basically oversee everybody as well.
Are you actively in real estate as well, or are you just on the lead generation side?
No, yeah, I just own the business. I also don't want my clients to have to worry about me.
Yeah.
It's like and this is all, to your point, this is all I do. I had a client call me up once and he goes, what I love about you, Nick? You're never busy doing something else. Right? It's like every time I call you, it's like leads, leads, leads. How can I help? Let's get better. It's not like, hey, I'm walking this property. I got to call you back. Hey, I'm at my other business I bought. I'll talk to you later. He's like, you only do this. I thought that was like such a beautiful compliment, right? I don't have all these business. This business does very well. We did $1.5 million in sales last year. So with that much flow through, I put all my focus on this business. I'm not trying to buy other businesses and distract myself. I'm getting this one to 5 million, and then we can talk about distracting myself a little bit more. But to your point, this is all I focus on is this business. And I tell every client I speak to, my job is to get you the most leads for the least cost. Period.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah,
8 years in the business of all just lead generation. I thought you actually did real estate too, because like one thing I always do, because I've run a GHL software, and I'm always like way over here. I'm never actually on that side, and I'm like I have people in place to handle that side, but it's just like, man, I'm busier over here than I am over here, so I'm not really
right.
100% focused on that. But I do.
Well, it's a lot, the real estate has a lot of moving parts, which is why I think it's good that we do what we do. I mean, we have to pay for the marketing, get the leads, build a relationship, get it under contract. Then we have to do the same thing on the buyer side. We have to build a relationship, find a buyer, sell the deal, and it's, although a lot of the gurus out there want to make it sound easy, it's really not that easy. It's a lot of moving parts.
And you're just one part of that machine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm only 1/5. Now I'm glad you said that. I do help my clients dispo their deals. I do not JV, but I have over 15,000 followers on Facebook. And if a client brings me a property under contract, I'll make a post, who's buying in city and state, and then I'll tag my client in the post. So one cool thing about me is I don't sell any other services, but man, if you got a deal, I want to help you close it the best that I can. Too, because we both win, right? When my clients close deals, they make the money, and they probably make another order, and they get more leads whenever they're done too.
That's it. That's the business. What is a quote that is yours or somebody else's that you resonate with?
My favorite quote is by Benjamin Franklin, and it is, "You cannot solve a problem by using the same level of thinking when that problem was created." Yeah.
There you go.
That's good shit.
That's good.
That's good shit. So we have to expand our thoughts. We have to ask somebody who's been there. If you're stressed out and you make a mistake, continuing being stressed out and thinking about it is not going to solve your problem. You have to get peaceful and then make a decision from there.
I like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Are you a book reader at all?
I do audiobooks.
You do audiobooks. Okay. What's a book recommendation that you have for the audience?
So the same book that told me that quote, it's my favorite book of all time. It's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That was recommended to me when I was in my 20s, and my boss sat me down. I'd never listened to a business book before that. And he goes, Nick, you should listen to 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he goes, I would focus on habit 7 if I were you. And he said, that is sharpening the saw. And it was something about the way he worded it felt like he was complimenting me, right? even though he was actually telling me that I probably need a lot of work and I need to listen to this book, right? But he poised it as a compliment, and feeling like sharpen the saw sounds like I'm already doing it right. So let me just do more of it, right? And then the book totally blew my mind. I've listened to it 5 times since then. And every time I feel lost in life or like I've plateaued, I just play that book and I'm back on track.
There you go. Everybody go check it out. I am not a reader, so I struggle with reading.
Dude,
It's terrible. It's
dude,
terrible.
if I'm not commuting, I can't read. Right? It's like I have to be in the car. And the funny thing is, being an entrepreneur now, I'm in the car less than ever
Yeah.
because I don't have to fucking go anywhere ever. So it's like really hard for me. So I'm in the same boat as you. I can only do it in the car. I can't do it when I'm traveling. I can't do it when I'm by myself. I have to be driving in order to digest a book.
Yeah, it's a real problem. It's a real problem for a lot of people. But for everybody out there, I hope you can find time to read that and definitely check it out. Thank you for coming on. We're gonna where can people find you online? I know we're putting a link in the bio as well, but
leadminingpros.com is the best way to find me. I have the free courses at the top. I'm also on YouTube, and I'm a real hoot on Facebook. I'll give you a link to add my Facebook. It's my personal Facebook. So you're going to see a lot of personal stuff, a lot of business stuff. People love following me. I share all of it, the good, the bad, and definitely the ugly. So I'm not like your normal, successful person. I talk about all of it. So a lot of people enjoy that.
Well, there you go. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming on, Nick. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.